Welcome. We are back. Another week upon us in the market. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. A lot going on. A lot of earnings coming up. Let me just look through everything before we talk about everything else. So Tuesday, we have Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, probably pronounce that for me. Interactive Brokers. So not a big day on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, United Health, PNG, US Bancorp, Alcoa, United, I think that's United Airlines, Discover. On Thursday, we have American Airlines, Netflix. That's really about it. And then Friday, nothing too crazy. So it looks like Wednesday and Thursday are kind of the larger days for earnings. Really interested to see what Netflix will be like. Netflix, I feel like always is one of the first ones to kick off an earnings season. But later on, and by later on, let's say next week is huge. I mean, next week we have IBM, Logitech, 3M, Microsoft, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, Tesla, Boeing, AT&T, Robinhood, Apple, McDonald's, Visa, MasterCard, Caterpillar. Next week is a huge week. So we're getting ready for that. We're going to see how stocks are acting leading up until the earnings and also how they react to earnings. This is the first time for a lot of these stocks. I think the stat is like over 50% or down 40% from their highs or something on the NASDAQ. So it's the first time where earnings are actually going to matter in the last few quarters, where we had an amazing rally after the COVID crash and we had, decent earnings. But if you remember the last couple of earnings, it was like we were getting pretty decent numbers, but the stocks were dropping, and it was just kind of like, it was really like, it didn't really matter too much. Just like completely random things were happening for the most part. So now we might be in a situation where a lot of these companies have pulled back quite a bit apart from the large caps, and their earnings might be a lot more important right now. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of the schedule for the week, Cheddar Freeze shared it in the Discord. We have nothing too crazy this week. I just see jobless claims and crude oil inventories on Thursday, nothing on Friday, nothing major on Wednesday. Pretty light week economically apart from those earnings I just brought up. So yeah, let's start off with Bitcoin, which looks pretty good to me here. You have the confirmed classic bullish divergence on the daily. It's maybe back testing this inflection zone that it bounced off of. The swing trade is up like $100 since the entry currently. And let's just go down to lower time frames. Maybe, you pull back a little bit more, get a double bottom in off of the inflection zone, and then you pivot. I mean, you definitely could get some sort of a dragon formation on the 4-hour chart if you just make some sort of a rough double bottom. So it looks fine to me as long as you hold above 40K. It might just take some time to test this area. It's probably the largest area Bitcoin has anywhere close to the current price. So you're testing your major area currently, and you're above it for now, which is good. Ethereum bounced at the PCZ of a bullish bat. Now it's just kind of in between a little range between 30.20 and 33.54. We'll see which way it breaks first. OMI, we talked about it. We talked about the breakout, okay? I've been talking about this crypto every single night on stream for like 2 or 3 months now, and patience has been rewarded, okay? We talked about the support, the 200-day moving average, the breakout of this channel. We even talked about the breakout of the bump and run. Target is really, in my opinion, anywhere in between these two levels. Okay, you can see on the right side scale. So you got a major breakout on OMI. Only since the breakout, you're currently up about 20%. But since that 200-day moving average test, you're up over 50%. What's another crypto I was talking about nonstop a while ago? FTM, coincidental. We got the free trading movement, which is our FTM, and then there's this crypto called Phantom, which is another FTM. And if you were watching the stream, we talked so much about how beautiful this looked. You had a bullish bat, double bottomed at the PCZ just over the 200-day moving average and a previous support. It was in a falling wedge, had hidden bullish divergence on both oscillators. And just a little update on this. It went up almost 200% since we were talking about it down at these areas. And it's getting a lot of social media attention. Right now, I just see some resistance here around 338 and support at 253. So you're kind of right in between them for right now. If that high holds, then this actually could start. I don't know. It's been a while since I've streamed. It could be turning bearish if that high holds, because you do have bearish variables for the first time in a while. You have potential classic bearish divergence on the MACD and the RSI. You have a bearish engulfing candle as your top yesterday, and that was pretty much rejecting a previous resistance zone. And who knows, if you have an A, B, C, and then maybe come down and retest these here. So again, that's very, very early. Of course, you could easily just pivot off this support, test this. Who knows what will happen? I'm not trying to predict 10 moves in the future. We're just going to take it day by day. So that's really it for crypto. Stock futures have been open for like a full day now, even though the market was closed today. They've really been flat for the most part. Russell futures are actually leading up about 1/4% right now. So yeah, what's going on with the market going into the week? The US 10-year is open. It's currently around its highest level. I mean, today that's the highest level it's been at since January of 2020 at 1.82%. Had the breakout of this. I mean, a lot of different things you can call this, but we're just going to call it a triangle for right now. You broke out of it. You almost got the back test, and you pivoted, put in a bullish engulfing candle almost. Now you're running again. So if you hold above 1.774, which is this previous high, then your next resistance is like 1.90. And I did see some report, I forgot who it was from, that they're expecting this to move towards 2% in the next few months, but for it to be a little bit slow. Let me see if I could find the article. Okay, I think I found it. Strategists expect the yield on the 10-year treasury to note to reach 2% this year for the first time since 2019, but they do not expect the rate to go much higher than that, and I'm not sure which people they're referring to. This is a CNBC article I'm looking at. Head of U.S. rates strategy at BMO. I'm not too familiar with all of this, I'm going to be honest, but I just saw that article. I think did we look at it on stream? I don't remember, but yeah. Okay, so that's what's happened over the weekend. We can take a look at the VIX. This had a decent spike last week, pulled back throughout the day on Friday. You had a very rough Thursday for the market, and then a Friday morning gap down, but then you had a nice rally throughout the day on Friday, which I think we did talk about potentially happening. I took Thursday night off. So yeah, what else do we have to take a look at before we get to the actual stock market? The Hang Seng Index is open and slightly green, kind of just testing your previous highs from December, but this is a beautiful chart in my opinion on the weekly, and that's why I'm taking a lot of focus for the first time in months for Chinese stocks. So yeah, you got a bullish bat. You just broke out of this supply line. You're now trying to break back above this ice line. I mean, if this can confirm this breakout, this is such a beautiful chart, you know, long term in my opinion, but do your own research, of course. So CLOV continues to move throughout the stream. Gold going sideways. The dollar is open. It broke down from this triangle, retested a previous resistance as a support. Now it's just kind of in between two levels. So yeah, lumber's also kind of almost making a full retrace. It pretty much did. Lumber is pretty much retested. Let me delete this right now. Retested a high from May of 2021, and now it's pulling back a little bit. So these are random length lumber futures. All right, let's talk about stocks now. What's up, Plebere, Corey, Alfredo, Chetta, Eric? How you all doing? Chetta says, hope everyone had a nice long weekend from the market. And let's get into the overall market before we talk about some individual names. So we look pretty good going into this week from a technical standpoint. From what I've seen, I haven't looked too much into it. I haven't really looked at charts over the weekend apart from scanning today. So I'm just going to look at it, you know, break it down for the first time for all of you right now. So you still have the potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily for the S&P. You bounced off the demand line for the S&P 500. I actually, when you were testing the demand line at the low of the day on Friday, I shared calls with all of you in the Discord, which we could pull up right over here. These SPY calls, they went up 300% on the same day. I shared this to all of you in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord and get these free alerts, the link is in the description. But yeah, I actually shared the exact analysis. I said SPY daily hit demand line. You could see it's a little bit hard to see here, but if you really, I don't know, squint, it was like at the exact demand line intraday. And I shared some calls. I said, don't be surprised if these are up hundreds of percents, and they were up 300% within a couple hours. So that was a really nice move on Friday off the demand line of this channel. On lower time frames for the S&P 500, you're still looking good. You're in this upsloping channel. I mean, we could call this maybe a little bit of a double bottom. If you ignore this like long wick here, I mean, you really have found some support now in the 4 hour around 460. which used to be resistance and support over here. So I guess 460 is your short-term support you really want to hold above this week. You have 4-hour hidden bullish divergence, somewhat of a double bottom formation, a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle. So yeah, you're just kind of in a range between 460 and 466 for right now. If you break over 466, then you could retest 470-ish. So that's how I view the SPY currently. And yeah, you made these 78% retraces across the board for the market. You can take a look at that on the SPY. Let's move over to the QQQ now, which also bounced off of a long-term demand line. That's that white line you see over here that's upsloping. You tested it in March of 2021, May of 2021, October of 2021. January 10th of this year, you opened at that level. And then on Friday, you bounce off that level. So that's good. You also are back above 379, which is kind of these lows over here from December. So hopefully you can continue to close above that. And you still do have to get above these previous all-time highs around 382 on the QQQ. So that's how I'm looking at it for right now. You can see this little 4-hour range, just trying to hang on to the range. And then on the 1 hour, there's another 786 that you can see over here. So a lot of 786s from the low. I think the 10th was what, last Monday? Yeah. So from the low of last week on Monday to the high of last week on Wednesday, you came down to a 786 retrace on Friday, pretty much across the board, and that's where you bounced up intraday on Friday. So yeah, the QQQ is back above support for right now, which is pretty good. You can see this little blue zone over here. You've reclaimed it. You broke under it for a little bit, and now you're back above. You can see what's lows here, resistance here, support and resistance here, support here, support here, support here, and now you've reclaimed it after breaching under it for a little bit. So that's good. NASDAQ bounced off the 200-day moving average for the second time now. You still have developing classic bullish divergence. Maybe you connect these two lows and you get a demand line over here, so we could still kind of look at it like that descending broadening wedge. I'll extend that out a bit, so maybe that's your support. You have 2 touches here, another touch here, and then kind of 2 here if you're just looking at candle bodies. But you would like to see this get and hold back above 14.9K, which was your resistance over here, as well as your support over here. All right, that's level you're just under. You could probably get above it this week if you open green. What else? The Russell 2000 for small cap traders. You retested the right shoulder of the inverse head and shoulders, and you bounced. Very nice looking. I wouldn't call it a hammer. The body's pretty large for a hammer, but very nice candle on the daily, and a 4-hour bullish engulfing with hidden bullish divergence. This could be the low for the Russell. Again, I mean, every single time you've come down to this range, you've bounced off it. If it's not the low, that's fine. It's still a low risk, potential high reward opportunity. I've said that. I said the same thing over here. I said the same thing over here. You bounced both times. Hopefully, if this is the low yet again, not only do you bounce up to 226 and reject it again, but you actually can break it and then actually see a new change for the Russell rather than just going sideways as it's been doing since the beginning of December or the end of November. So that's the Russell. Still could call it an inverse head and shoulders. You just got to hold that low from Friday morning. And you do have a 1-hour classic bullish divergence going into the new week, which is good. I might actually look for some calls tomorrow on the Russell if you don't gap down. So very, very interesting. Not much resistance on this up until like 219-ish. So there is definitely some room. Let's see if there's a pattern on lower time frames. Maybe look at it like this. A little bit of like a downsloping channel breakout. Yeah, so that's your Russell 2000. The ARK ETF, a lot of talk about this, a lot of chatter on this one lately. It's a little bit interesting. You're still not showing much strength. We got the initial bounce off the $80 level that we were talking about. We ran up to test the next resistance, which was at 89 from this low. And you rejected that. It was even your low from over here in November of 2020. So I don't know. As of right now, you are certainly under your lows from September of 2020. I think the ARK is at a point where it's either this is your bottom, like pretty much right here is your bottom, and you could have an insane rally off of this. Or if you break down from this level, I think maybe you're going to head to fill this gap around $74. So we'll mark that as well. So it's a make or break area. That's the easiest way to put the ARK ETF right now. It's at a make or break area. That's really it. I mean, you can go on the lower time frames. Not too much has changed there. We could extend this demand line down a bit. So yeah, I think it might just take some time for this to become a little bit more clear. The Russell does look a little bit better to me. in the ARK ETF. However, you are getting the same exact volume signature again. The last time you had this high of volume on the ARK, you did put in a short-term bottom. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, that's the overall market. Other stocks I'm looking at going into the week. I did send a watch list out to premium members today, but I have other few tickers on my watch list. WYNN is one of them. I think it's had some unusual options activity, and the context is really good on WYNN right now. You had, first of all, you had LVS up, or it might have been LVS that was up. I had unusual options activity, but LVS hit the PCZ of pretty much a bullish crab. I did send this in a watch list to premium members, I believe, and I also believe I've shared this on stream before. But you double bottomed at the PCZ with classic bullish divergence. You gapped up above this range. You had this 39.42 resistance, and now LVS is testing this little previous support area. Only issue right now is this is a resistance where it's currently at, and then you have the 200-day moving above you, 200-day moving average. But you do have earnings. It says on the 26th, which would be what, next week, for LVS. But looking at WYNN, it really hasn't already gone up 14%, even though it was up 9% on Friday. And you can see that it also just cleared above this little resistance over here, which we can mark on the chart. So WYNN just broke out after double bottoming at the PCZ of a scuffed bat. You didn't really have a 382 from X to B, but it's trying to break over this major $90 level. You see resistance here, here, support here, resistance here, and you're back above it now, and your next resistance is really around 98 now. So it's opening up to a new range at this point if it can hold it. Of course, you do have a small gap to fill to the downside, but WYNN is one stock I'm watching this week. ROKU, another one. I haven't really charted it yet, but I saw somebody on Twitter share this. So ROKU is starting to finally, didn't have any support in this little range here. Now it's finally getting down to a previous resistance area, which might act as a support. So I can draw that little inflection zone there. So you can see this used to be resistance in 2019 and the beginning of 2020, and maybe it flips into a support. So I'll be watching to see if it can do that this week. You also have a little bit of a down sloping channel on ROKU. And there's the potential for classic bullish divergence. So it needs some work, but that's why I'm just keeping an eye on it. And we'll see if we can start bouncing off this area. If not, all good. We'll wait until whenever. So that is ROKU. Let's go on a lower time frames for a second. And not much there. What else? Microsoft. I've been talking about this one. I'm going to keep talking about it. You're still retesting your previous resistance from last fall as support. You bounced off of it on Friday. Kind of the potential for a dragon pattern here on the 1 hour and the 4 hour charts. So let me draw that really quickly. So Microsoft's still looking pretty interesting to me. I can drag this. There we go. So this is your 1 hour chart. I mean, you've got a lot here. All right, that's your 1 hour chart for Microsoft. Peloton, it was breaking out for a little bit. I'd probably just redraw my supply line now because it didn't do much. Still just waiting to see whenever this one can break out. NVDA, major bull flag forming here. NVIDIA is going to be one of my main focuses this week. Hidden bullish divergence developing on the daily. 4 hour classic bullish divergence developing. You're kind of finding support. It's not technically a gap fill because you already filled it, but at a previous gap fill level, you're trying to bounce off of. Again, similar to the QQQ, if you ignore this lower wick here, you can see that support here in somewhat a double bottom pattern, which maybe you could even look at as another dragon pattern, which I can chart. Why did that just leave? So NVIDIA is another one you might want to keep an eye on this week. Take a look at it like that. SOS broke out recently. Somebody brought this up on one of the streams, I think last week. It's bouncing out a low from April of 2020, and it just broke out of this wedge. Remember, BBIG was another one that, it was a dead stock. Nobody was talking about it, and we noticed that it broke out of a long-term falling wedge. I said it right over here on the stream, live on stream, that BBIG broke out of a long-term falling wedge. Somebody requested in the chat. Actually, I know who requested in the chat. I could give them a shout out right now. It was YSR84 in the Discord. So shout out to YSR84. I think he also said his stream name is IMEI Repair. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight, but yeah, we talked about BBIG down at these levels, and BBIG went up 80% after that stream. Okay, we said BBIG broke out over here and it went up 80% in 3 days. And going into this week, it has a loaded options chain and it's testing a major, another breakout level. This 420 level, you're testing your 200-day moving average and this historical resistance. I think we talked about this on Wednesday, but you could see it was your low in December of 2018. It was your resistance in July 2020, resistance in February 2021, and resistance on November 22nd of last year. And now if you can break over 421, I mean, after that, your next resistance will be around 518. Okay, from these lows, this high, these highs. Then you have a gap fill at around 586. And then another gap fill at around 749. Another gap fill at 952. So those would be the next levels. And that honestly also kind of lines up with the high from January of 2021. So those are all of your levels on BBIG. Take a screenshot if you want to. This is getting a lot of attention everywhere. So SOS is another one that just broke out of a pretty long-term falling wedge. That's very quiet for now. And yeah, those are some stocks I'm looking at going into the week. Still watching Lucid. Might just be back testing over here, but I think they have some like sort of lockup expiration or something. I don't know. I've just been hearing some stuff about it. I haven't looked too much into it, so look into that. But just watching it to see what it does. So yeah, let's talk about some of the swings now. Fisker stopped out last week, but on the 4-hour, it's at the demand line of a downsloping channel and the PCZ of a bullish bat, and you pretty much got a 4-hour bullish engulfing candle, kind of a tweezy bottom apart from that wick on your 4-hour chart. So Fisker is still looking very interesting to me. You also look at it, not also, but you actually did bounce off of your major historical level, 1450, from these lows, this high, these lows, these highs. We already know how important that 1450 is on Fisker. We had an amazing Wyckoff accumulation trade off of it. And you bounce off of it yet again. So historically, bouncing off of this could be very, very good if you can hold it. I can chart this down sloping channel on the daily or a wedge, however you want to look at it. And you still have the potential for classic bullish divergence. So Fisker, it sold off a little bit more than I was anticipating. Kind of gave up that 200 moving average, but it could still be in a very low risk, high reward area, potentially, not financial advice, as long as you're managing your risk, right? You define your own risk. So apart from that, CLOV was up like 1% on Friday. Nothing much here has changed too much technically. However, there was this. You were in this wedge for like all of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on CLOV, and you broke out of it late in the afternoon on Friday. I actually did share this with premium members down to like $3. Like right when this was breaking out, I shared with premium members in the chat. If I can find it. Yeah, right here. I said CLOV just broke out on volume. This was, it doesn't show the time, but I think this was what? That's 2:50 p.m. on Friday. It just broke out of it. So again, these are low time frames, but we'll see what happens. A little bit of higher time frames. Looks really interesting still. I mean, you have 1 hour classic bullish divergence on CLOV currently. We've seen that work out beautifully in the past. Remember, it's still in a very bearish trend for right now from just a lower high and lower low standpoint. But again, these are the type of technicals that could eventually reverse it. But of course, I'm not going to act like it's, it's not been rough. It has been rough, but these are still formations that could be tradable as long as you're managing your risk. So, yeah, kind of like a dragon here on the 1 hour chart, and some classic bullish divergence. 4 hour, you have classic bullish divergence nearly confirmed in this down sloping falling wedge. The technicals are just continuing to develop. You almost got a hammer candle too. I'm sure it's still around the lower Bollinger Band. Yeah, so the swing is still active. It's never stopped at or under 295, so hopefully it's around the bottom. Let's keep going with the swings. Tesla, nice bounce back. Hopefully Tesla can get back above this little green supply line this week. The swing's down a little bit, I believe, not too much. It's down a few percent. So it just needs to reclaim back above this supply line and back above 1063. And you still have the chance of hidden bullish divergence and the potential inverse head and shoulders. Beyond was down 6% on Friday. This is technically right at the entry of the swing currently. Still might just be back testing this little wedge breakout. You can see it better on lower time frames. There you go. Look at the 1 hour. See it broke out, back tested, ran, back tested, and we'll see what happens now. But last time it did the same exact thing, went up about 10% in a day or two. So keep an eye on BYND. AMC was flat on Friday. It actually went under that previous high from the squeeze almost exactly a year ago on Friday morning, but it ran back up to close slightly above the high of January 27th, which was the top for a little bit in last January. So AMC, it just needs to pivot back above this level and hold it. You still can make a lower low double bottom. You bounce off the demand line pretty much with this falling wedge. Classic bullish divergence is still possible. A little bit of damage on Friday to the technicals, but you could easily make that up if you just bounce a bit towards the beginning of this week. SONO, this one's down a couple percent since the entry. I don't know why these lines are so messed up. But it's maybe just retesting the PCZ of the Scarlet here. And yeah, I'd just like to see it bounce off this level again. That's really it. JD was up a few percent on Friday. Swing is up 6% since the entry. It's got a gap to fill and the 200-day moving average at 75.71. So that's your resistance for JD short term. If it breaks that, could hit the first target, which is another gap fill at 82. That's JD. SPLK was up 2% on Friday. Bullish engulfing candle on Friday. Very, very, very nice. Hopefully it can just take out this mini resistance at 123 and hit the first target. But so far, so good. Swings up 5%. GameStop, this swing's technically over. It already hit the first target before hitting the stop. You just can't see it because it happened after hours on, I think, like 2 Thursdays ago or something. But unfortunately, we can take all this off my chart now. Unfortunately, you did close under the 119 level, which was your lows from March of 2021. So probably how I'd look at GameStop at this point is a falling wedge, which you did bounce off of your demand line on Friday. So I'd look at GameStop like this. Currently. So it has some potential, but I would like to see it bounce a bit first for some confirmation. That's GameStop. Wix. This one kind of gave up the inflection zone, so this one really needs to start pivoting. It's just kind of at this point, maybe in 7 inverse head and shoulders. Look at it something like this. Potential double bottom at the PCZ of, let me see which harmonic this is. You can see if the low from Friday holds a potential double bottom at the PCZ of this cipher, okay? SU, this one hit first 2 targets. There's really no resistance until the 3rd target. And VLO broke out of the inverse head and shoulders. Next target's almost $92, but it just broke out and you've already hit 2 targets, the second target being a 20% gain. So that's reward to risk right there. And being a reversal trader, you're up 20% on the swing by the time it even broke out. So this one's been an amazing swing. And yeah, that's the majority of my analysis going into the week. Futures are still flat. Bitcoin's around 42.2K. And that's pretty much it. Literally, we already looked at the Russell 2000, so that's going to be the timestamps. I'm probably just going to keep tonight's stream short. Just a quick update stream heading into the week. Half an hour intro to this week in the market. I'll be live for a little bit longer tomorrow night. But yeah, stream is back. I'll be live every single night this week up until Friday night. And good luck trading this week if you choose to trade in the market. Hope everybody's doing well. Make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description. Follow me on Twitter at ChampionVibe. Hit the like button if you didn't already. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.